been another mad week of Premier League football. Things starting to get interesting. Very, very interesting. So, match day 13 did not disappoint, even though I'm disappointed for obvious reasons, which we'll get into in a minute. But, no, decent games, man. Really, really good week. Next week's probably going to be a little bit better, but we're getting into that point now where, you know, middle of the season, things are starting to hot up. Obviously, the World Cup is going to literally derail everything that everyone's done since the start of the season. So it's going to be interesting to see what everyone does when they get back. But for now, we'll start with the City grounds. Probably the best place to start. Liverpool got packed in once again. Nottingham Forest 1, Liverpool 0. I keep on saying that. I say this every week with Liverpool now. I hope Liverpool have won an away game this season. And as I say that, watch them come to us and get their first away win. Watch, you just know it's going to happen. It's us at the end of the day. But Liverpool got folded like an accordion. Nottingham Forest were on their P's and Q's. They were on it. Their pressing was good. Their phases were good. Defensively looked rock solid, which is not something you'd associate with Nottingham Forest. But Liverpool really just aren't good right at the moment. They have hips and spurts of, you know, a couple of results that go their way here and there. But Manchester City game obviously being a case in point of that. But they can't put a consistent run together. Are you still, you know, yet to win a game away from home, which is obviously problematic for them. But I thought Forest were excellent on the day. Got the goal, defended well. Liverpool didn't really have any answers. Had a few chances, obviously. Great saves from Henderson as well. But you're expecting more from them. And it hasn't been coming. Every game they played in this season, they've fallen short pretty much. So this isn't the Liverpool that we know. Will they get back to where they were before? Who knows? Klopp, I think, needs about 3 or 4 windows. The style is obviously there. He just can't do it with the players he's got at his disposal at the moment. Obviously, I know he's got a few injuries and that, but that's what a squad is for. And Liverpool just aren't at it at the minute. So 1-0 Forest, they take 3 points. I would still maintain Nottingham Forest will not be leaving the Premier League. I think they'll stay up. I think they've got enough about themselves. Once they decipher who their first 11 is going to be, it will gel. They've got a good squad. So I fully expect them to safely be out of the relegation zone, sort of 14th, 15th. That's me on them. We'll go to Goodison. Everton versus Crystal Palace. So I called this one a draw in my last video. Citing that Palace were very, very good under Vieira, and they are. Everton packed them in. Oh, goodness. 3-0. Palace just weren't at the races. I guess it was one of those days, you get them in the Premier League, obviously. You get days where it just does not go for you. Nothing falls for you. Everton, at the moment, at home especially, are in pretty decent form, to be fair. Unbeaten, I think, now at home. No. They got beat by Man United last game at home. Yeah. But are very, very tricky. One of those sides, you know, where anything could happen. And in Crystal Palace just came unstuck. Nothing went for them at all. Zaha wasn't even in the game. As for Everton, Anthony Gordon on the sheet again, score sheet again, which is obviously good for them. It's probably just going to hike up his price a little bit more, should they obviously want to choose to sell him, or if he decides to leave. But I thought Everton were really good. I thought their phases from back to front were very good as well. I thought they were very, very quick as well on the uptake. Anytime Palace had time on the ball, Everton were in there, literally. Like that Iwobi, who else have they got in the middle? Is it Iwobi, Decore? Is it Decore? Is he even he's injured, I think. I can't remember who it was. But Iwobi seems like he's found a new lease of life in that new position. Defensively, they got talkers. They got talkers defensively. So Conor Cody and James Tarkowski, it's good for them. It's good for them. And Everton are gonna be all right now. I was counting on them to be one of the relegation teams at the start of the season, as I said before. But Lampard has them playing decent ball at the minute, so I don't see Everton going down. I do see them finishing lower league, like not lower mid-table, sort of 12th, 13th. But now they've got Calvert-Lewin back as well. They will score goals. So Palace, just a bad day at the office. They'll come back. They usually do. Not much to say on them, to be quite honest. They were quite poor against Everton, but like I said, they will be back next game, I'm sure. We'll go to the Etihad next. Manchester City versus Brighton. Bit of an interesting one, this one, actually, because I thought Manchester City would probably score a few more. but they didn't. Haaland's got 2, which is standard for him per game. I think 17 Premier League goals now at the moment, and counting, obviously. Brighton gave a good account of themselves. Did try to counter every time Manchester City came forward. Leandro Trossard again on the score sheet against another opponent away from home, against another one of the top 6. Always seems to try and churn it out against the main 6 in the league. He always seems to score against them. He did it against us last season, did it against Arsenal last season, done it against Liverpool this season, and now doing it against Manchester City. So, no, good player. Good player. I did say Manchester City would probably win this 4-5-0. Only 3-1. City just didn't get out of second gear the whole game, to be quite honest. You know what City style is like. It's very authentic and very fast paced. Is constantly on the go, and Brighton essentially just couldn't live with it. As well as Brighton did on the counter, they didn't manufacture that many chances for what I saw. But no, he had 3-1 to Manchester City. They are still a couple of points behind Arsenal at the moment. Stamford Bridge, it was the late kickoff, Chelsea versus Manchester United. Chelsea started off woefully. Very, very woeful. First sort of 20, 25, 30 minutes, they were not in the game at all until Graham Potter changed it. Then went to 4 at the back. And that pretty much changed the whole complexion of the game, because then from that point, it seemed like Chelsea would go on to win the whole game. Actually ended up taking the lead through a penalty via Jorginho. Casemiro header was on bits. I can't lie. That header was mental. Mad header. Even though I do think... I almost called him Arisa Balaga. It's actually Balaga, yeah, Arisa Balaga. Kepa should have had it. Should have kept it out. You got arms like an octopus, and yet you're doing that. I'm a bit skeptical on that, to be quite honest. But I thought a 1-1 draw was a fair result in the end, considering Chelsea were terrible first 30 in the first half, and Man United didn't really do much in the second half. I thought it was a pretty exciting game without the goals. It was quite a decent game. Really good watch. And I did call this to be like a Chelsea win, potentially a draw, so I'm happy with that, to be quite honest with you. Moving on to the Sunday, there were a few licks on this day, including my own club, and I will obviously go through that with you in a little bit later on. At the moment, we'll start with Molineux, Wolverhampton versus Leicester. Now, this one I had as a Leicester win. And they duly delivered. I wasn't expecting that kind of win, to be honest, but Wolverhampton were atrocious. There are no words to describe how bad Wolverhampton are at the moment. Leicester are on the up and are improving. They're scoring goals at a canter now. It's been at a premium. Maddison seems to be in the form of his life, and I think he should go to the World Cup based on his current form at the minute. Wolverhampton is not much. They need a new manager quickly. They need ideas. They look bereft of them. They look lost. There is no phase. There's no style of play. There are no phases in which Wolverhampton look like they're going to score goals. And it's a worrying sight. They're just not at the races at all. Any game they play, I think, ironically, the best game they played against anyone this season was against us. And they still managed to lose that game 1-0. So there's big problems there. So they do need a new manager with new ideas, new authentic ideas. Ruben Neves, I believe, when I read this, is off to Barcelona via a verbal agreement in January. Not sure how true that is, but I've seen it from more than one source. So I'm not entirely sure if that's actually true. But if it is, they're going to need to invest in the squad wisely, because I'm assuming it will be in the region of about 40-50 million. So they would have to put that back into the squad, or else they could face relegation for sure. Leicester City, as I mentioned, are on the up. I don't see any problems with them getting relegated. I didn't think they'll get relegated. I just thought they'd have a really bad season because they sold all their players. But they seem to be gelling at the moment. Seem to be getting a few results. Their best players are getting back into form. Harvey Barnes, James Maddison, Jamie Vardy, all on the score sheet over the weekend as well. So no, going really well at the minute, and that'll probably continue. And Leicester, yeah, they'll be there or thereabouts, top 10, 11. in that sort of region at the moment, but they'll have to heavily invest in the summer as well. So hopefully there's going to be some cash for them, because they might have to let go of a few of their other assets, i.e. Yuri Tielemans, James Maddison. Obviously Vardy's reaching an age now where I think his legs are going almost. That's why he doesn't start every week. I don't think Patson Daka is the replacement for him. Yeah, so Leicester have got a bit of a rebuild there. But at the moment, 3 points, so that's good for them. Another 4-0 victory at Villa Park. That was Aston Villa versus Brentford. It's always funny what happens when a manager leaves a certain club. It's always that manager bounce, and all of a sudden Aston Villa are playing football again. I've been saying it for weeks. Danny Ings, Ollie Watkins in the same team together, also trying to get Buendia and continue in the same team together. And look what happens. It yields a result. Aston Villa were impeccable in everything they did at Villa Park over the weekend, while Brentford were just shocking. This is probably the worst game I've seen Brentford since they've come to the Premier League last season. This is probably the worst I've seen them play. They had no idea on what hit them. None whatsoever. And I did say, I've said it in a few of my videos, Brentford are not one of those teams you rely on away from home. They will always drop points. There will always be that team that when they go away from home, you'll always bank on the home team. That, for me, is Brentford. They just don't do well away from home. At home, they are a different kettle of fish. Away from home, they are terrible, and we saw evidence of that over the weekend. Villa absolutely slapped them all over the pitch with no remorse. There was no regard. There was no, sentiment for nothing. Aston Villa went for the jugular and just moved to them differently. So 4-0 Villa Park, another 3 points for Aston Villa since Steven Gerrard's departure. Still haven't got a permanent manager in as yet, but I'm hearing they've got a few on the table that they're planning on interviewing. So I'll keep you updated on that, obviously, if I hear anything next video, obviously. Southampton versus Arsenal, St Mary's. Southampton should have won this game. I'm seeing cracks in Arsenal, to be quite honest. And I'm not even saying this out of hate. I promise you I'm not. I just don't think Arsenal are very good. They've had a good start to the season, but they're not going to maintain it. We all know that. So I want them to get their kicks in now, to be honest. I want them to have their ha-has. I want them to be key-keying every week, because we know what's going to happen come back into the season. We're going to be laughing and key-keying at them. And it shows, because when they go to places like Southampton, when they go to places like Fulham, where they still have to go to places like Newcastle, they still have to come to us. They still got to go to Liverpool. They got to beat Man United. They still got to go to Chelsea. They're not winning those games. They're not winning those games because they don't win them games. It's the same old Arsenal. There's not much different from last season's Arsenal to this season's Arsenal. Yeah, they play attractive football. That's great. Gabriel Jesus was meant to be the signing of the season. Where's his goals gone? My striker's got 10. How many has yours got in the Premier League? That's fine. You can be top of the league now. We all know Tottenham are finishing above Arsenal as well. So I'm not even worried at this moment in time. But back to the game. Southampton won. Arsenal won. Arsenal did take the lead through Granit Xhaka. Decent finish, to be quite honest. But then second half, Southampton just absolutely peppered them. If you wanted a blueprint of a way to play against this Arsenal side, Southampton found it. And I wish Southampton just bullied them some more. All they needed was another 5-10 minutes so they would have won that game, I promise you. Southampton had the chances to do damage as well. Arsenal had no idea what happened to them in that second half. And that's what you do. You got to put that team under pressure. Constant pressure, and they will fold. They will absolutely fold. Arteta will fold like a Spanish deck chair. That's what he does. But 1-1, decent draw for them. It still keeps them top of the league. They're still a couple of points ahead of Man City. I think they're now 5 ahead of us at the moment. They're 5 ahead of us because we lost to Newcastle. Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. That's our first loss at home of the season. 100% record is now gone. Lots I can say about the game, to be quite honest. I thought the first goal was a foul on Lloris, even though I do think Lloris fell down a little bit theatrically. If that happened anywhere else on the pitch, that's been given as a free kick. If Lloris did it to Callum Wilson, likely it is, Lloris is probably going to get sent off. I don't get how you get that decision for you as the attacker, to be quite honest. Yeah, they're both going for the ball, but at the same time, you've literally manhandled him and put him to the ground. So I don't see how that stood, to be quite honest. No complaints about the second goal. Actually, that's a lie. I am going to complain about the second goal. I'm going to complain about my defenders. Sessegnon, terrible. I'm quite happy to never see Emerson Royal and Sessegnon in a Tottenham shirt ever again, to be quite honest with you. Sessegnon was not strong enough against Almiron. Almiron weighs about 50 pounds wet. And this is what you're letting him do. You're letting him barge past you and literally beating you for pace and not putting a tackle in. And that's for Longley. Get out. Go back to Barcelona, man. I'm tired already of you. We need Bastoni. We need a Skriniar. We need someone who knows how to defend properly and not let players like Almiron run past you. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that Almiron is a bad player. Thanks, Jack Grealish. He's just not as good as everyone thinks he is. He's in a really good vein of form. A bit of a purple patch. A bit like Arsenal's form at the moment. But we just so happen to be on that hit list because we don't know how to defend properly. And when you can't defend in this league, this is what you get. So I'm not even going to complain about the result. I'm going to complain about the manner and how we lost it. Because even when we got the goal back after, Kane put us back in the game, every other cross or corner we had didn't get put into the box. We're one of the best in the league with set pieces. Why not just throw it into the box and see what happens? I just don't understand the mentality sometimes of my squad, to be quite honest with you. I'll blame Conte as well a little bit. He's stubborn. We know that. He likes to play defensive. He likes the low block. But yesterday told me everything I needed to know. I was at the game yesterday against Sporting Lisbon in the Champions League. When he lets the team off the reins a little bit, when it's not so much about defending and you let the team play, we will create chances. We will score goals. It shows you. I want to see that football in the second half that we saw last night against Sporting moving forward. Because if we do that, we're going to win a lot more of our games. This sitting back and soaking up pressure, hitting teams on the counter does not work. And I'm getting tired of it, to be quite honest, because we've got the personnel to hurt teams, but we're choosing not to do it. How Jed Spence doesn't get into this team, I don't know. I'm happy with Matt Doherty in the team at this moment in time. Like I said, I don't want to see Emerson Royal in the Tottenham shirt again. Eventually, discussions were going to have to take place with regards to the displacing Lloris. We do need to upgrade in Lloris. We do need to upgrade in Eric Dyer. Not to say that Eric Dyer has actually done anything wrong. We just need an upgrade. If you want to be a top side, you can't have Eric Dyer marshalling your defence. I'm sorry, you just don't. Lloris is getting older a little bit, but he always seems to have a mistake in him. His distribution is not the best. Fantastic shot stopper, don't get me wrong, but his decision making is very poor, and it has been for years now. He's been there for 10 years. I think it's time for a new challenge for him, to be quite honest, and I'd very much like to get Oblak in from Atletico Madrid, as I heard that we're being touted to be interested in looking at him. But yeah, it's another loss for us. Second loss in the week. Obviously losing to Manchester United in midweek as well. Before then, we took this L as well against Newcastle, who are only up as well. Newcastle, a very good team, back up into the top 4 at the moment. Where I said they should probably be, I did say they'll probably finish in the top sort of 6, top 8 area. Newcastle without Europe and the squad that they're building could easily be in the top 4. Easily, there could be dark horses for it. Depends if everyone stays fit. But even without their best player, like Alan St-Maximin, they're still producing results. And that's probably the mark of Eddie Howe. He's doing a fantastic job with it at the moment. And to be fair, long may it continue. Got nothing against Newcastle. Deserved to win over the weekend. Got no complaints about it. Leeds United versus Fulham. Live from Ellen Road. Entertaining game. Probably the best game of the weekend, if I'm being honest. Leeds 2, Fulham 3. So Leeds fans are calling for Jesse Marsch's head. I understand why, but they also need to understand that Leeds are in a bit of a transition period at the moment in time. So they need to give Marsch a little bit of time. I don't think Leeds will get relegated. I think Leeds have got enough about them to stay up. They do score a lot of goals, but at that same token, they do like to concede a lot of goals as well. I still think they'll be fine. I really do. I think there are worse teams than them in this league. As for Fulham going all guns at this moment in time. I don't know where this has come from. I don't know where Marco Silva has got this newfound confidence. But I like it. I like what Fulham are doing. I like what Mitrovic is doing. They seem to have a very balanced squad. They seem to have a midfield of source. A midfield of source. Pereira is an absolute baller. Very, very silky. Seems to have found his level. Obviously, Man United is a little bit of a level up. But where he's at Fulham at the moment, he seems to have found his niche, I suppose. Producing some really, really good bits. Some really, really good football in general from Fulham. Bobby Decordova seemed to be a different player completely as well. Getting more goals, adding more goals to his game. I just like what Fulham are doing. I like both Fulham and Leeds. I like what they're both doing. I like both outfits. And on any given day, both will give you problems, as we've obviously seen throughout the weeks. But a good win for Leeds, for Fulham at Ellen Road. Leeds will dust themselves down and go again. Leeds are one of those teams, a little bit like Brentford, when they go away from home. I don't expect much from them, but their home form they'll be very much reliant on, and I don't think there are 3 teams that are worse than them. Sorry, I do think there are 3 teams that are worse than them. I don't think Leeds going down. I think they'll finish in about sort of the 15th, 16th place. But they do need to invest again heavily in the summer, especially on that defence. Needs a bit of work. And the final game, which was on a Monday, we go to the London Stadium, which was West Ham versus Bournemouth. Little bit of routine, to be quite honest. There was nothing that Bournemouth could do at West Ham, though both of West Ham's goals were very questionable with regards to VAR. I do think the first goal should have been chalked off because it was handball. Even though your hands are literally in front of your stomach like that, the rules stipulate that you can't have any helping hand, whether you deliberately did it or not. Because your hand was involved, that can't be deemed as a goal. So clearly they messed that up because he clearly did. Bounced off his hand, and then obviously Zuma got the header. The second one, I don't like that. The second one, because if you're going down and you're sliding, your arms are not going to be by your side, are they? I get that you have to make yourself a little bit bigger, but if you're sliding, trying to get the ball with your foot, your arms are going to be at a certain height. And that's basically what, I can't remember his name, the left back for Bournemouth. That's what he got penalised on, and then obviously went to VAR and they gave the penalty for that as well. So West Ham running out 2-0 winners, not really playing particularly well. But if you're getting points, then you don't need to play well, do you? So, no, 2-0 to them. We go to Bournemouth over the weekend. Not a game I'm relishing, to be quite honest, because we're not in the best of form at the minute. But we do have a good record when we go there. Harry Kane does like a goal against them, so I do anticipate us to win this game, get back to W's, because we need them. Still third in the league. So match day 14, we will start with the early kickoff, which will be from the King Power Stadium. That's Leicester City versus Manchester City. I see Manchester City rolling on. I do see that being a 3-1 type game. I see Erling Haaland getting on the score sheet again. And I see Leicester taking an L. So 3-1 to Manchester City for me. St James's Park, Newcastle versus Aston Villa. I see Newcastle winning this one as well. I think the W's will keep on coming for Newcastle. Especially at home. Very, very formidable side. Unbeaten at home at this moment in time. Aston Villa, I don't see going there to cause them any problems or trouble. I will go 2-0, and I'll probably go Miguel Almiron to be on the score sheet again. Bournemouth, Tottenham, I've obviously spoken about life and the vitality. I do see Spurs going there and winning. I think we'll go there and beat them 2-0. That's what I'm going with. I'm sceptical of the 2-1 because Kiefer Moore is one of those strikers that I don't like to play against. He's very awkward, very gangly, very good in the air. And we have a lapse in concentration every game in defence. We always do it. Lloris is not in the best of form at the moment, but I do think we'll get over the line. I'll go 2-0, maybe 3-1, just based on the fact we've got Kane and Son up top. Amex, we go next. Brighton versus Chelsea. I see Chelsea winning that. I'll go 2-0. I say that because I don't see Brighton breaching Chelsea's defence. Chelsea defensively are one of the best in the league at the moment. I think Newcastle have the best record, but Chelsea are not too far behind. And I do see problems for Brighton moving forward. Trossard is obviously a big threat, but I think they need another striker, and I think they'll probably go for one in January. Who, I couldn't tell you. I'm not entirely sure. But I think they need a little bit more. I think Chelsea will just roll on like they usually do. They're usually a machine when it comes to this side of the season, and do pick up valuable points. And are still undefeated under Potter, so I don't see that changing anytime soon. So I'll go over 2-0 win there for Chelsea. Crystal Palace versus Southampton, live from Selhurst Park. I think Crystal Palace are going to take their anger out on Southampton this weekend. Took a bad beat over the weekend. Southampton obviously getting a draw against Arsenal. There will be a bit of confidence there, but I think Crystal Palace are going to come and put the talons on them. I really genuinely do think that's going to take place. I will go 3-1, though I do think that Southampton will be a lot better defensively. So it could just be a 1-0 type game, but I do see Crystal Palace getting the 3 points, and I do see them going hell for leather, especially at home. They're very good there. So I'll go Crystal Palace home win 3-1. Brentford versus Wolverhampton. This is from the G-Tech Stadium. It's the first time I've said that actually this season. I didn't know what the stadium. I think they had Griffin Park before, but obviously they moved from there. So it's the G-Tech Stadium. Brentford versus Wolves. Brentford again took a bad beat last week, as did Wolves. Sorry, both of them losing 4-0, and I think Brentford are going to retaliate the quicker. I'll go over Brentford home win. I will go 2-0 to Brentford. I just don't see Wolves picking up any kind of form now, especially after the beat they had last week at home. Especially, nothing much is going to change here for me. Fulham versus Everton, live from Craven Cottage. I'll go over Fulham win. I think the W will keep on coming for Fulham. I don't know what it is about them. They're a breath of fresh air. They look really, really good. Look really, really resolute as well. They're very good at going forwards. And I just think they'll have too much for Everton. I think Everton will give a good account of themselves as they usually do, but I think Fulham have enough to put Everton away, and I do think that's what's going to happen. So I'll go with a home win there. Going to Anfield next. Liverpool, they entertain Leeds. Again, one of those teams, Leeds, away from home, not very good. Liverpool, I do see picking up the W here. One of their very few. This should be a routine win for Liverpool, but obviously it's the Premier League, you never can tell. But I don't think Leeds will go there and cause them any problems. Liverpool home win for me. I will go a modest 2-1 for that, with potentially Mo Salah being on the score sheet. And then Monday Night Football. No, it's no Monday Night Football. Sorry, we've got Super Sunday. These are Sunday games. So we have Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest, I believe it is. Yeah, Arsenal, Nottingham Forest, live from the Emirates. Forest coming off a really good win against Liverpool last week. Arsenal at home, still undefeated, looking really, really good there. I see an Arsenal win under the lights. I will go 3-1. I don't think Nottingham Forest defensively are at the level yet to go to stadiums like that and pick up results. Of course, I hope they do. I just don't see it happening. And Gabriel Jesus maybe on the score sheet. I'm not sure. Seems to have dried up a little bit, to be quite honest, and long may that continue. But yeah, can't hide or deny the fact that Arsenal will probably pick up 3 points here as well. And final game of the weekend, tough one for Man United at Old Trafford as they entertain West Ham. In fairness, in recent years, West Ham haven't had the best form at Old Trafford. And I don't see that changing anytime soon, to be quite honest. Both are going to be involved in Europa League tonight as well. I'll go Manchester United 2, West Ham United 1. Marcus Rashford probably be on the score sheet for that as well. I'll come back with a new video next week. Obviously, if I hear anything before, then I'll try and give you another one. I'm going to try and start doing 2 a week, actually. If I can obviously get that done, I'll absolutely do it. But no, we'll look forward to it. We'll go through match day 14's results and obviously match day 15 predictions as well in my next video. But until then, have a good rest of the week. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.